Right. I am going through as much as I possibly can, although today has been an incredibly hot day and I've been suffering from a migraine, which means very difficult to concentrate. But you do what you can, considering the amount of stuff that's coming out of San Diego Comic-Con and with all the information that we're kind of getting. Yes, hello everybody. Welcome along. We are talking 3 minutes, or 2 minutes to the live stream starting, and of course we are going to be talking about Saturday programming as well as some other bits and pieces of which have crossed our path and attracted our attention, but also looking for your things as well. What are you excited about? Of course, jump in with any comments or posts, anything that you want to discuss on today's show, where you're watching from. I'm looking, I did actually post a reminder to everyone on my socials that we will be live, and we are live now. But I can't seem to find it on my feed, and quite frankly, I ain't got the time now because, well, stuff to talk about. Yes, a minute to go. Where are you? Where are you watching from? Is this your first time? I'll be gentle, I promise. And we're going to talk about panels, certainly for Saturday, because we've got plenty of, I mean, we already know a number, but there's some question marks, especially on the bigger rooms, to kind of fill in the gaps. But your opinion then, is Sunday all of a sudden the big day at San Diego Comic-Con with a certain panel that's being hosted in Hall H? Chuck Cook is saying good morning from cloudy San Diego. A bit cloudy on a first thing on the morning, and I get it, but can you give us a bit of time about what the temperature's like? How is it in that city that never sleeps? No, wait, that's a different city. Tell you what, let's dive into this and let's talk San Diego Comic-Con Saturday programming. Hello there, everybody. Welcome along to Talking Con, a cup of tea with Englishman in San Diego. My name is Len Sultana, and usually on a Sunday, we do a live show talking comics, Comic-Cons, and all the stuff and nonsense we get to enjoy at such events. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Not Sunday, Saturday. As we are 11 days out from San Diego Comic-Con 2025. Am I showing too much skin? Should I calm down? No. Yes. Yeah. We're doing these shows, little short, brief things, talking about San Diego Comic-Con. We've got somebody in the chat already who I want to mention in a second. First things first, though, we've got Chuck who's giving us a bit of his weather update, which is good, giving us an idea of how we're looking into San Diego. The marine layer should clear out and bring the sun pretty soon. High of 75, 24 degrees. Wish you were here. It is 6 o'clock here in the UK. We're in Yorkshire, where I am. I'm based right in the kind of like bullseye of the country. M25 leading across east-west, M1 down, up and down the middle of the country, right in the middle of the country, Yorkshire, Cleckheaton, bingo. We are 25 degrees at the moment here in the UK, and it's been up to 28 today, and it's going to be 28 tomorrow as well. It's been another heat wave here in the UK, which is why the curtain's closed, because we're keeping the heat out. But nice to know that we're keeping up with you over here in this side of the pond. But yeah, I wish I was there as well. God's own country, absolutely. And the missus coming from God's own backyard garden. That would be Wales. So there we go. Toy fan, hi Leonard, watching from SD. Yeah, the big news, of course, that came out of yesterday's show, and of course, since then, is first Sunday in 3 years. Andrew is drunk. He's been in a beer garden all afternoon. No, apparently he's on the gaming club. He's having to pack for flight on Tuesday. So he's heading out to San Diego. He's coming out soon. So he's relearning how to type. But yes, Hall H on Sunday. The question then becomes, has this now become the big day for San Diego this year? It's a hell of a thing to announce. I mean, we shared it on yesterday's show, but it's time to kind of cover it again, because it is the big news that George Lucas is returning, or he's bringing Star Wars is returning, obviously, because it was one of the first kind of pop culture things to kind of get everyone's attention at San Diego Comic-Con. But for the first time, the creator of Star Wars is heading to Hall H with Guillermo del Toro. And you know what? I think it's kind of in there is that we are also getting Doug Chiang as well, who is just one of the legendary illustrators and concept artists for ILM, and moderated by Queen Latifah, which just blows my mind. But George Lucas, Guillermo del Toro, Doug Chiang, and Queen Latifah. If anyone's going to go along to this thing and expecting this to be a Star Wars panel or a director's panel or any kind of anything where you can ask what is George Lucas's favorite Wookiee cookies, it's not going to be that kind of thing, because at the end of the day, George Lucas has been trying to get this. Oh, Chuck Hook is having occasional light stutters. I think that might just be the kind of the way that I'm kind of bouncing between windows. I apologize. But yes, if you're expecting this to be a director's panel, it's not. At the end of the day, this is going to be about something that George Lucas has been trying to get up and running for years. He's been raising the funds for it. He's been getting the location. I mean, I seem to remember the talk about this museum a decade ago. So it's taken some time for it to get up and running. If I was in the room, I would be asking, because it talks about what is going to be on display at the Lucas Museum of Narrative Art. It talks about a lot of stuff from George's personal collection. Now, does that mean Star Wars stuff, or from George's? I want to know how much of a collector he is, because if he's got like the original King Kong or something, or like the original, I don't know, shooting script from Lawrence of Arabia, again, that's a similar kind of thing. That would be interesting, because at the end of the day, Lucasfilm and their own museum pieces, they've got their own stuff. So yeah, I think that's interesting, but still a big panel. The question then becomes, does this make the Sunday the big panel and the big room to get into? And is that going to be a panel to camp out for? Who knows? Other things that have been kind of attracting my attention. Obviously, I keep my eye on my Comic-Con feed in Blue Sky. Do follow me on Englishman SDCC. I do share what I can from there. But so, for example, we had Chris Mays, who shared a second batch, came on the show a couple of weeks ago. Second batch of 3x3 framed originals are here. They include Absolute Wonder Woman, Bro Thor, Homer Simpson, Indiana Jones versus Boulder, Kratos, Mario and Star, Silver Surfer, and Wolverine, and they will be available at his booth on preview night from $65. 3x3 framed originals. He's going to be on the Dial R Studios booth 2103. Good guy, good illustrator. Do check out his stuff, and yeah, head to his booth, because I think that will be rather cool. I mentioned that I was going to talk about this on the show yesterday, but then the panels for Saturday dropped. So we kind of like got distracted, and I get the feeling, and so on. Yes, that would be my browser giving me grief. Yes, we're talking what DC are coming and bringing to Comic-Con. We've been told that pretty much most of the artists and creators from the DC roster are going to be in town. Andrew Dickinson definitely dropping out. Am I on there now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? How am I doing? I think it's whenever I kind of refresh a window. So whenever I go to refresh a window, just expect there to be a little bit of a blip. What do you think? Let me know. Okay, Daniel Warren Johnson coming to Absolute Batman in 2025. Yeah, okay, now better. Thank you. I do think, I mean, I had a usual kind of like virus checker going through my hard drive, and that buggered me up. So bear with me. Yeah, Daniel Warren Johnson taking on Absolute Batman in 2025 during a stacked creative team for the annual. All these guys going to be coming to San Diego Comic-Con. SDCC panels showcasing DC's future with big creators, or have been read out the list of the creators who are available for press. It is pretty stacked. If you are a DC fan, it is definitely going to be the room for the building for you, because my word, there's a fair few that's going to be available. For example, we do have the booths, the panels, sorry, starting on Thursday. We know all about these. DC All In, What's Next from 11:30, 12:30 in room 60E. Batman Ezekiel, Chuck de Imperios, which is the Aztec Batman animation panel. That's going to be in room 6 BCF from 3:30 to 4:30. Saturday, now this is where we're going to kind of get a bit of a tease of what we're expecting from the programming. We're talking 11:15 to 12:15, DC Comics Metropolis and Beyond. That's Dan Jurgens, Dan Slott, and Philip Kennedy Johnson, all going to be appearing on that with group editor Paul Kaminsky. That's going to be in room 60E, the traditional comics panel. And then on Saturday, you have at 12:30 to 1:30, DC Comics Gotham City, walk the dark and gritty streets of the DC universe with comic book creators for news and surprises involving Batman and other protectors of Gotham City. So that is Matt Fraction, Scott Snyder, not in bold. Why is that? Dick Dragotta, Carl Higgins, Daniel Warren Johnson, and that's going to be moderated by Rob Levin. And then on Saturday, you've got the panel, which a lot of people really kind of struggled with yesterday, because they had the live, the off-site thing go live on a bit of a page where you could apply for the tickets, and it crashed instantly, pretty much. Everyone trying to get themselves on the off-site for that. But on Saturday, between 3:30 and 4:30, it is Hall H with James Gunn, John Cena, Danielle Brooks, Jennifer Holland, Freddie Stromer, Steve G, Frank Grillo, Sol Rodriguez, and Tim Meadows. A full packed stage for Hall H between 3:30 and 4:30. Now, that speaks volumes, because I think that means we're going to be seeing the Star Trek around the 1:33:30, for that's 2 hours. Universal maybe at the start of the day, or who's going to have that last block on a Saturday? That's what we're going to try and find out today when we get to the programming schedule live. Please let me know, Dan, if that goes live. Saturday then, 5:15 to 6:15 at DC panel in 6 BCF, and that is Jim Lee and Friends. He says he's going to bring out a few of his friends for discussions and reveals. Jock seems to be appearing on every panel going, so it's very possible that we're going to be seeing that. Nothing for Sunday as yet, but that is your programming for DC That is probably the big one that people are talking about. Hall H, moderated by Josh Horowitz. Andrew Dickinson, anything from Dune? Well, they've started shooting, but I don't think there's going to be enough coming out of that to warrant a panel or a presentation. You might get a teaser, unlikely. Michael P says Saturday is live. So let's refresh that page and let's get into it. Let's go to programming, all. Scroll down to the bottom. Where are we at? That's 8 p.m. Saturday. Saturday is live. Shall we dive in? Shall we do this? Let's go and look in live and see what's going on. Let's see if we can filter it down a bit. Let's go for Saturday. And let's go for programs. And let's start with the big rooms, as we have done for the last couple of these. And we'll start with Ballroom 20. Ballroom 20 and Indigo have been staggeringly busy and a packed lineup pretty much from the word go, Thursday and Friday. Let's see what Saturday brings us. It's animation and television, of course, in Hall H, but we are doing big animation panels from the word go from 10 o'clock. It is Bob's Burgers with Lauren Brashard and Bernard Derriman, the creative team, with Cass H, John Benjamin, John Roberts, Kristen Schall, Eugene Merman, Dan Mintz, and Larry Murray for Bob's Burgers. Obviously, an incredibly popular show. 45 minutes to get through those, so you're not going to be getting much in the way of clips or anything. Maybe some sneak peeks, but it's more about the panel and the people on stage. Kristen Schall is just a joy. I love that woman to death. So yes, Bob's Burgers is kicking things off in Ballroom 20 for 45 minutes, 10 to 10:45. Then 11 to 11:45, switch around, and it's bringing the Futurama boys on stage. Matt Groening is coming back to Comic Con, which is good. He's going to be bringing Futurama from 11 o'clock with David X. Cohen, executive producers Claudia Katz and Ken Keeler, supervising director David Avancino, moderator Lee Superchinsky, great name, and Futurama's vocal superstars Billy West, Lauren Tom, Phil Lamar, who will have just about sobered up from the Eisners the night before, David Herman and Maurice LaMarche, plus prizes, special bonus, everyone might get arrested? Fair enough. It is the 2025 Futurama panel coming to Hulu this fall with 10 shiny new episodes. Matt Groening on stage in the building. That's from 11 to 11:45. Swap over again. So you're going to have different cast, of course, but well, it depends how many casts are going to show up on this one. Matt Groening going to be on stage. I mean, heaven knows we are talking season 37. Have you ever tried watching The Simpsons on Disney Plus? Scrolling through to the latest episode is a bitch because you've got a lot of shows to get through. But gag writers Matt Selman and Mike Price, Matt Fohan, and consulting producer director David Silverman, and surprise guest stars. We have no idea if there's going to be any cast going to be showing up. At the end of the day, they've been there and they've done that. So it's entirely down to whether Matt Groening can hold the room about Simpsons. I watched some recent Simpsons episodes from the last year. They hold up, man. If you haven't watched Simpsons recently, check it out. It's actually pretty good. There was one from a year ago when we were doing myself and Caroline doing our rewatch about capitalism and the battering down of the working man. That's from a year ago. That was hardcore. Very, very cool. Okay. Switching over the creative teams, this time now heading into Fox with American Dad from 12:45 to 1:30. Another 45-minute panel with Wendy Schall, Scott Grimes, Dee Badley Baker, Jeff Fisher, with executive producers Matt Weitzman and Cara Fallow, and writer Nick Wagner, giving an unfiltered look at the behind-the-scenes antics and fan favorites of the upcoming season, 20th season of American Dad. Again, it's one of those shows that just keeps barreling on. But I haven't been watching American Dad for some time. someone's going to have to let me know if it's still got some of its bite and if it's still got some of the energy. A show that, however, I'll watch till the cows come home is Family Guy, and you've got the likes of Alex Bornstein, Seth Green, Jennifer Tilley, who I'm a huge fan of, and Mike Henry, with executive producers Alex Sulkin and Cara Vallo going to be on stage about the latest season of Family Guy. You may notice a name missing from those two. So yes, the creator of Family Guy and American Dad not in the room. Oh dear, what a shame. Now, 2:30. So that's all your 45-minute ones. They're going to blitz through that. At 2:30, you've got this, Brave Warriors, and I'm curious to see if they're going to actually list any names. Here we go. So Entertainment Weekly's Brave Warriors to be announced. I bloody knew it. I bloody knew it. So yeah, it is usually the gents of IPs and popular television, and indeed some film as well. Bring it on stage to talk about their latest stuff, what they get up to, the hardships of being a Hollywood actor, and why it's such a tough job. And it's really, I mean, up against kind of working down a mine. It's just hard work. Yeah, but anyway, 2:30 to 3:15, 45 minutes again. But it's usually an entertaining panel. They usually get some names in. It depends who they are getting into town for this panel, and of course who they can attract from the other panels around the convention. Entertainment Weekly's Brave Warriors for 45 minutes at 2:30. Ghosts, very popular show. Andrew Dickinson. Think they know who is going to be on that panel when they find out who hasn't got a hangover. It's a very good point. But here is where two incredibly popular panels, which we are not as ubiquitous as the rest, will attract a lot of people's attention. It is going to be Ghosts, one of television's top comedies on CBS and Paramount Plus, following Samantha and Jay, a couple running a bed and breakfast inhabited by ghosts, whom only Samantha can see and hear, with series stars Uktash Ambukta, Danielle Pinnock, Asher Godman, Devin Chandler Long, and executive producer Joe Port and Joe Wiseman, engage in a lively and spirited discussion, delving into the season 4 cliffhanger and what's to come in Ghosts season 5, moderated by actress and writer Poonam Patel. This is a show that hasn't translated over to the UK, so I'm not as into this show as I know it is big in the States. Not only that, but we had Rent-A-Ghost back in the 70s, and it's the same bloody thing. That's me being a little bit facetious, but Ghosts is doing their panel again, 45 minutes, 3:30 to 4:15. And then, to wrap things up, this is probably going to be the big one of the day here in Ballroom 20. It is from 4:30 to 6. It is there you go, an hour and a half, talking about two big shows. The upcoming season of Interview with the Vampire, featuring Vampire Lestat's long-awaited rock and roll tour, and the highly anticipated new series, Anne Rice's Talamasca. Now, as it happens, there's not a great deal of details there, but if I go to theconventioncollective.com, Michael P., remember we stole Ghosts from you all. Yeah, I get it. I know. We do have some details about that, as along with all the other panels that AMC are bringing. But yeah, we do actually know who's going to be on that panel, because we've got showrunners and executive producers John Lee Hancock and Mark Lafferty, along with cast members Nicholas Denton, William Fincher, great actor, Celine Buckins, and Maisie Richardson Sellers, moderated by Damien Holbrook. That is going to be covering Anne Rice's Talamasca. And then you've got before that, Interview with a Vampire, which is going to be moderated by Damien Holbrook again, executive producer Mark Johnson, showrunner and executive producer Roland Jones, composer Daniel Hart, and cast members Reed, Jacob Anderson, and Eric Bognosian. So there we go. That's your panel lineup, which is not listed on the Comic-Con site, and you can find that on theconventioncollective.com between 4:30 and 6:30 in Ballroom 20. At which point everyone clears out and gets themselves ready for the Comic-Con International 2025 Masquerade, which will be taking place, of course, on Saturday. Big show, big lineup indeed. Strong. It's a strong day. Admittedly, anyone who's interested in Ghosts and Interview with the Vampire is going to have to sit through at least American Dad, Family Guy, and Brave Warriors. But I think there's going to be quite the turnout. Once Family Guy is finished, all the animation fans peel out, and you're going to be letting people in. Whether it's a walk-in, it's going to be tough to say, but I don't think that's going to be a camp out. But Ballroom 20, I mean, you've got some pretty big fan bases for Ghosts and the Immortal Universe, but I don't think it's enough for people to camp out for that. Andrew Dixon, did you find out who Fluffy is? Yes, I did. I found out who Fluffy and Kojo is, and I watched it for half an hour on YouTube, a number of their stand-up sets, and that's all you're going to get out of me regarding that. Okay, that's Ballroom 20. Let's go for the other big room, of course, which is Indigo Ballroom. Okay, going all the way down to Saturday, and let's have a look at what's lined up for this. It's a big day. Look at, I've just seen two words which have got me thrilled, and I'm rather pissed off that I'm going to be missing it. Okay, if you can see that, you know exactly what I'm on about. Starting at 10 o'clock, Real Stories, Real People, Why Representation in Film Matters. Interesting panel to start with in Indigo. Who gets to save the world, crack the joke, or break the heart on screen with superheroes to sitcoms? Representation in film television isn't just about visibility, it's about connection, about who gets to tell the story and sees themselves in it. Collective Moxie CEO Julie Ann Crommett is going to be joined by Al Madrigal from The Daily Show, Pilar Finn from Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, Sydney Bright, the Webtoon Studios head of global animation, and Jorge Gutierrez from The Book of Life and Mayor in the Tree, engaging in an honest conversation that pulls back the curtain on how authentic representation is created and why it matters and why more than ever. Eddie Ibrahim is a big fan of putting these panels on, especially on a Saturday and especially in the big room, because they're conversations that deserve to be discussed. Why it's right at the start, I don't know. But I suppose it means that anyone who is in the room for the following panels, oh dear, you're going to have to sit through a honest discussion about representation in film. What a shame. But there you go, 10 to 11. I think that's an important panel. Bravo to programming for putting that on. ABC's Abbott Elementary from 11:15 to 12:15 for an hour, talking about season 4 of the series with creator and star Quinta Brunson, and stars Tyler James Williams, Janelle James, Chris Perfetti, Lisa Ann Walter, William Stanford Davis, Cheryl Lee Ralph, along executive producers Patrick Schumacher, Randall Earnhardt, and Brian Rubinstein, getting ready for the season 5 premiere with a season behind the scenes conversation about what makes the award-winning comedy a A+ hit. Dan Berry is saying not the only representation panel with Jorge. I know it's the panel that you've organized as well. We'll talk about that in a minute. But there we go. Our Elementary is going to be on stage in Indigo, 11:15 to 12:15. ABC's The Rookie. It is going to be Nathan Fillion in the house. Excellent. Which means at some point, him and James Gunn are going to be going out and enjoying themselves in San Diego, wherever they go, and enjoy themselves. Because of, he is, obviously, we found out James Gunn is in town for the Peacemaker. ABC's The Rookie. So you got Nathan Fillion is going to be on stage along with Alexi Hawley with a tease of fan favorite moments and new story arcs for the upcoming season, plus a special sneak preview from the season 8 premiere of The Rookie. 12:30 to 1:30. I would say that may not be enough people to kind of hold the attention of a full hour, but it's Nathan Fillion. The man can hold a crowd's attention. So there we go. 1:45 to 2:45 with star and executive producer Sterling K. Brown and creator and executive producer Dan Fogelman, celebrating and reflecting the captivating first season of Hulu's Paradise, which critics called one of the best shows on television. Creative team will discuss all the twists and turns of season 1 and to tease what's to come for season 2. Never seen it, never watched it, please, if anybody is a fan or if anyone's seen it, pocket review in the comments and let me know what you thought of Paradise, which has justified a full hour panel in Indigo Ballroom. Sterling K. Brown, he's got his fans. Oh, okay. Spartacus is back with Graham McTavish. Hey. Return to Ancient Rome with Spartacus, House of Usher. First up with the cast and creator. This is in Indigo from 3 till 4 with executive producer Stephen K. S.D. Knight, who knows his way around a production. Graham McTavish, Tanika Davis, Jamaica Vaughan, Geordie Webber, and Nick A. Taube returns as the notorious Usher in a world-bending reality, discussing the legacy of the original Spartacus series and dive into Ashur's alternative fate in this new series starting in fall. It explores what would happen if the ruthless double-crossing Ashur had not perished on from Mount Vesuvius and instead was rewarded by the Romans for betraying Spartacus. Okay, alternate history stuff. Interesting. Dan Berry, Paradise is good. There you go. There's your pocket review. Paradise is good. That should go on the box set. What else we got? So we've got ourselves 415. All of these are very dedicated fans and fan bases, which means people will be coming in for them, enjoying them, and then leaving, I suspect. Farewell to Blood of Zeus, Season 3 recap. From the origins of the series to casting legendary voices and bringing Greek mythology to life as they discuss the hit Netflix series Farewell to Blood of Zeus. You've got producer Michael Hughes, supervising director Jay Kim, episodic director Joshua Covey, composer Paul Edward Francis, award-winning re-record mixer DJ Lynch. This is a very bizarre lineup on stage. But then you do have cast Elias Tuxifexis, Jason O'Mara, Fred Tassiacor, Sissy Jones, Sarah Emily, and Matt Lowe. And you can also having the creators and writers Charlie and Vlas Paraplianides moderating 4:15 to 5:15. That is Farewell to Blood of Zeus Season 3 recap. So there you go. Michael P gives us a little bit more of a expanded review of Paradise. An interesting sci-fi thriller. But okay, if The Expanse is 11 and what's crap? Battlefield Earth is 0, where is it on the scale, Michael? And I know that I've set the bar rather high with The Expanse there, but let me know. Mad Rewind at 5:30. Phil Lamar, Deborah Wilson, Blaine Capatch, and Brandy Sewell hosting this panel discussing the legendary comedy show and its impact on comedy today, moderated by Kif van den Hoevenloo. Michael P gives it an 8. So there you go. That's pretty strong for Michael. Okay, fair enough. 5:30 to 6:30, Mad Rewind, conversation with cast and crew. But then at 6:45, you've got the Tiny Chef Show, a show which I didn't even know existed about a week and a half to 2 weeks ago until somebody shared the cancellation video. This thing's won an Emmy, okay? And I have been obsessed. Ever since I discovered Tiny, I've been obsessed. And look at the grin on my face. It's just brilliant. Tiny Chef team is here to spill the tea. How many ever wondered how many cooking utensils Tiny Chef have or how he put on his cooking show? We've got the answers. Oslam at Kirk, co-creator and director of photography. Rachel Larson, co-creator and director. And Matt Hutchinson, voice of Tiny Chef, discussing Tiny Chef's social media content. Here to discuss the fun and games of behind the scenes of how it's done. Now, I'm betting that this panel was submitted before Nickelodeon cancelled it. This is going to be an interesting panel, if anything, for fans to find out what is the future of Tiny Chef. And if it's got a new home, are they doing it themselves? Are they going to release it on YouTube themselves or something? Are they going to make a website so you could pay to watch it or what? because I guarantee fans will come out of the woodwork for Tiny Chef Show. And if you don't know what Tiny Chef Show is, go and find out, because it is absolutely amazing. Screen. Okay, I think I'm back. So that is Ballroom 20 and Indigo. Let's dive straight in then. It is Hall H, and see who has got that big block right at the end. Rescue video, maybe at the end. Okay. Saturday, Hall H. Good God, they are actually going to do it. Coyote versus Acme is starting things off. It is Hall H. The Acme movie Acme does not want you to see. Redacted. Members of the cast and filmmaking team say thank you to the fans for their incredible support, which led to the film's rescue and upcoming theatrical release from Ketchup Entertainment. At the end of the day, Ketchup have had to pay for this, and that's going to have really struggled with the budget. Along with a Q&A, be part of the audience anywhere to view footage of the film and take home a Comic-Con giveaway. No road runners will be admitted. From 10 till 11. Wow. Coyote versus Acme kicks things off on a Saturday. And to be honest, I'm looking at the rest of it. It's a interesting lineup. Okay. Bad Guys 2 between 11:15 and 12:15. Filmmakers and stars of DreamWorks Animation, The Bad Guys 2, moderated by Kevin McCarthy. Considering the cast that they've got, and you've got a couple of new cast members as well, which are kind of like a new, young, hip bunch of thieves who are going to try and take some of the thunder away from the original bad guys. But it is a DreamWorks Animation hit, and yeah, you're going to have a hell of a cast on stage for that DreamWorks Animation Bad Guys 2, 11:15 to 12:15. Star Trek Universe, we knew it was coming, and it's only an hour and a half. We thought it was going to be 2, but no, it's an hour and a half. We also kind of, I think we know who's moderating this. I'm going to have to, if someone could share me the link with the info for Star Trek Universe. Dan, if you can have a quick Google search for that, because we knew this was coming about Strange New Worlds and also Starfleet Academy. But I'm just trying to remind myself who's on the actual panel and who's going to be taking place in that. If you can either share it with me or put it into the link or whatever. But Star Trek Universe for an hour and a half. But you are going to be having a big focus, I think, on Starfleet Academy, because at the end of the day, that is the show that Paramount Plus want you to go and see. Michael P. is already turning around and saying his 2 focuses, Star Trek, and indeed the panel that follows directly after that, Project Hail Mary. Again, this is a panel which people kind of knew about the production. People knew about the book as well. I mean, I am a fan of the original book, but Andy Ware is going to be on stage with Drew Goddard, Phil Lord, Christopher Miller, and Ryan Gosling on stage, giving an exclusive first look at the most anticipated sci-fi movie thriller event of 2026, based on the best-selling novel of the same name. The trailer has taken the internet by storm over the last week and a bit, and yeah, if you didn't really know about the book or know how the book plays, the trailer can get a little bit confusing because it bounces backwards and forwards within timeline. And I'm curious if that is going to be part of the feature of the film, that they're going to take the timeline of the book and kind of splice it so it does flashbacks to the astronauts' adventures, or how he got recruited, and keep bouncing backwards and forwards, and then the big reveal at the end. But no, it's good to have Ryan Gosling on stage. For myself, it's quite cool to actually have Phil Lord and Christopher Miller on stage as well. I'm a huge Drew Goddard fan. If I was in San Diego, I would suspect the Star Trek fans are going to stick around for this. But Coyote versus Acme and DreamWorks Animation Bad Guys, you might get a bit of people peeling out from that. You may be able to get not have to queue so much to get into this panel. It's an early start, but I think it's the Coyote versus Acme and Bad Guys 2, but are going to be worth sitting through to get to Star Trek Universe, and Project Hail Mary. Camp out? Maybe if you are a huge peacemaker fan. Peacemaker fan. Sneak Peek panel is returning for its second season with James Gunn, John Cena, Danielle Brooks, Jennifer Holland, Freddie Stromer, Siva G, Frank Grillo, Sol Rodriguez, and Tim Meadows. We talked about that earlier. It is going to be one of the big panels of the day, 3:30 till 4:30. So it's easy for me to say. I know. Tell me about it. It's been a hell of a day. Which kind of leads on to what wraps up the day. Obviously, you'd have, in years gone by, you'd have Marvel, or you'd have had Star Wars. You'd have something mammoth at the back end of a Saturday. At 4:45, you got Entertainment Weekly's Bold School, TBA. Nothing. Another Entertainment Weekly's panel where you don't know who's going to be on the stage. I don't know what on earth you could say about that. Admittedly, we would have liked to have heard that there's going to be a Universal panel. Is that going to be on Sunday? If that is Sunday, you may be getting kind of the Odyssey or everything else that's coming out of Universal slate. If that ends up being on Sunday, along with the George Lucas panel, that makes Saturday look particularly weak by comparison. I'm not saying it's a weekday, because it is a strong lineup, but it's the fact that you've got Entertainment Weekly, Bold School, TBA between 4:45 and 5:30, and then at 5:45, at what would be the back end or the second half of what would be the Disney panel, Star Wars panel, Marvel panel, between 4:45 and sort of like 6 o'clock. So this is kind of like taking up the second end. Demon Slayer has won the admiration of millions of fans around the globe since its debut in 2019, in celebration of the highly anticipated first feature film of the epic trilogy, coming exclusively to theaters in September. Crunchyroll is proud to present Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba Infinity Castle, coming to Hall H. Special guests from Japan and US host an unforgettable evening featuring exclusive footage presentation. Now, to be fair, Demon Slayer fans are in their thousands. They are rabid and they are hardcore. But Entertainment Weekly's Bold School and Demon Slayer back to back at the back end, that is going to be a slight disappointment. It's going to be a quieter room. You may even see empty seats. They may fill up again as you get an evening with Kevin Smith back at you from 7:15. If you let him, Kevin Smith's going to use his mouth on you in front of everyone at Hall H, celebrating the 30th anniversary of Mallrats and the 25th anniversary of Dogma with the hack who made them. Hear about the next movie he's making and see a slew of new comics from Kev, including Archie Meets Jay and Silent Bob, the Marvel and DC crossover, and his quick stops from Secret Stash Press and Dark Horse. I would actually like that to be a live taping of Fat Man Beyond, because I think people would show up for it. You get Mark Bernardin on there, that'd be rather cool. But there we go. Suddenly, the folks who only got Sunday passes are feeling pretty smug. Tell me about it. And Andrew Dickinson, there have been a few empty seats the last few years. What, for Kevin Smith or for Hall H? Because I know that when Marvel had finished their thing, everyone just piles out. But seeing Kevin Smith on Friday night. Oh, you are. Okay. But there we go. Wow. I mean, strong. Up to about 4:45. And then it depends entirely who's going to be on stage for Bold School and what that entails. Is it bold filmmakers? Is it bold producers? Is it bold storytellers? What does Bold School entail, and who is going to be on that panel? Making it a TBA, I think is a bad idea. But maybe they got no choice because they haven't nailed down who's going to be on that panel. What do we think? I mean, you've seen them now. Strong days, strong panels for Indigo Ballroom, Ballroom 20 and Hall H. But is it strong enough? I mean, out of these, is it going to be, I mean, Hall H, is it a camp out kind of setup? Are they doing their best to kind of dial back the heat from the camping? Admittedly, the Star Trek fans are going to be there in droves. Project Hail Mary is a big deal, and I think that's going to have a lot of attention. Whether people are then going to stick around for Peacemaker, because Peacemaker for me is a bit Marmite, reading it about it online. You either absolutely get it and you buy into James Gunn's vibe and John Cena's vibe for the series, or it just leaves you a little cold. So maybe you've got two panels there that people will absolutely rock out for. Project Hail Mary and Peacemaker. You're going to get a fair number of people wanting to watch stuff for Coyote versus Acme. So that's going to fill a room. Bad Guys 2 might kind of cool things down a bit before Star Trek Universe, admittedly with the animation stuff. Then you're into the live action, and then it kind of flips a bit. Well, whether you're going to get camping all the way around to the island is a different question altogether. So there we go. Right. Let's have a quick look at some of the, because it's not listing venues on the side for any of the other rooms. So let's just go to all and have a quick look through what we can expect on Saturday around the room. Let's see if we can find some dark horses. Let's see if we can find some things to catch our attention. Starting at 10 o'clock. Oh, no, okay. So let's as always, if you spot a panel title, let me know and we'll dive in and we'll have a quick look and see who is going to be attracting your attention. Brian K. Vaughan in 28DE, the traditional comics room, or one of the traditional comics room, moderated by Jim Viscardi as a not a special guest, but he is going to be talking about Saga and more, and about his new graphic novel Spectators. Brian K. Vaughan, very good. The man holds attention. Very good storyteller. Okay, Slaughterverse. Interesting. They're going to be having James Tynion on stage talking about Eric Slaughter and what we can expect from the future as we expect the approach the 50th issue of that particular book. You spotted that, did you? Okay, we'll dial back up. Gary Gygax, Dungeons and Dragons and Beyond. Now, writer and producer Tom DeSando from X-Men fame, Luke Gygax, founder of GaryCon Con, and Steve Shaynol discuss the world Gary built with Dungeons and Dragons and Gary's other creations that go beyond the beloved game. Expect a special announcement on the merging of those stories and characters from a new Gygax universe. Room 9, not the biggest room in the world. So that is going to be something you are going to have to, if you are a Dungeons and Dragons fan, you're going to have to be running to that room to get in. But that is Dungeons and Dragons between 10 and 11. Terry Brooks, I spotted that, which is Terry Brooks and Didier S. Dawson on writing Shannara. Terry Brooks has been writing Shannara books since The Sword of Shannara in 1977. That book launched the Del Rey imprint and the first fantasy novel to appear on the New York Times bestseller list. Passing the torch to Delia S. Dawson, who knows her way around a word processor, writing the next Shannara book, the sequel to his 25 novel, The Gallifile, and released next year from 10 till 11. Terry Brooks in room 25 ABC. That's a big enough room, and I don't know if it's something that is going to be. I mean, he's going to have a queue, but I think you're going to have a reasonable way of getting into that room. So there we go. Now, Usagi Yojimbo, is Stan going to be on stage? Yes, he is. Discussing The Wandering Rabbit Ronin, Stan Sakai, Jared Kulam, and Zach Rosenberg with Justin Eisinger is going to be hosting that from 10 to 11 in 23 ABC. Big enough room, and understandably so. It is going to be a lot of attention on that, and because it's Yasagi. It's just a great book. So there we go. Focus on Doug Chang. He is obviously in town because we've got that panel that's happening on the Sunday, but he's got his own focus panel, 29 CD, with the senior vice president and executive design director at Lucasfilm, discussing his career as a film designer and sharing insights on working on Star Wars. And apparently he's got a book coming out, 2-volume, 800-page deluxe slip-back book, Doug Chang, The Cinematic Legacy, and The Star Wars Legacy, Volume 2. That's going to be something that you could use to bat someone around the head with. 10:30 to 11:30 in 29 CD. Again, big enough room, but that's going to be something that is going to get a bit of a queue. Blade Runner Comics, who's going to be on stage for that? Oh, it's video appearances from a whole bunch of creators. Woo! That's what we want. I thought we'd gotten past all of that. Says the guy who, when he did his first Comic-Con panel, tried to get video presentation in. Oh, well. Okay. Anyone spot any kind of stuff that gets your attention? Matt Kent on Flux House and Beyond. Obviously going to be talking about his work on Berserker as well. So he's got his own publishing imprint going to be coming out from 11:30 till 12. That is going to be in 7AB. Okay. Drawing with Dustin Nugent and Peter Nugent, 2 superstar creators. That's going to be in room 3. Big enough room, big enough stage, big screens as well. So anyone who's interested in creating publishable work is going to be Dustin and Peter giving a big thing about that in room 3, the how-to room at the back of the building, which is the Artist Alley how-to room. Okay. We've talked about DC Comics Metropolis and Beyond, sneak peek, Toys That Made Us new episodes, talking about the latest season, including Polly Pocket episode. Win, I got the pronunciation wrong. Okay, so I do apologize. I always pronounce it like that. Sorry. So there we go. If Dustin Wynn and Peter Wynn are watching, I apologize. So there we go. How to pitch a story for comics, graphic novels, and television. It's going to be in room 10. You've got some people in there that know what they're talking about, but that is definitely about a how-to room. Nothing kind of jumping out at me there. Quick Draw, always a popular panel. Mark Evanier and Scott Shaw, joined by Tom Richmond and Emma Steinkeller. It is one of the most popular events in Comic-Con. And for just over an hour, you've got Mark Evanier and Scott Shaw holding court. And yeah, they can talk and they can draw. So that's going to be fun. Okay, anything else? Immigrants changing the face of pop culture. Herbert DeLeon, Roger Schwartz making the case that immigrants not only founded pop culture, changing the face of it today. A fair number of representation panels taking place at San Diego this year. Interesting that that was going to be something that a lot of people were going to submit. Interesting. Spotlight on J.M. DeMatteis in 29 CD, talking about his 40-year plus writing comics, television, film, and prose, with a deep dive into J.M.'s creative process, taking place in 29 CD for an hour at 12:30. Okay. A lot of comic stuff, which is great. Anyone who turned around and said that there's no comics being represented at San Diego Comic-Con is just absolutely bizarre. Kids these days. Next generation is ready for invention, from solving mysteries to saving the world. Kids these days are getting ready to conquer tomorrow. Shannon Messenger, Molly Knox Oxotag, Endeed Stevenson, and Tracy Bedowa talk about what it's like to be right for the next generation. I embrace this kind of panel because I'm all about getting rid of people my age and getting some people, the next generation, coming in and taking comics and pop culture and writing forward. I'm down for that. And indeed, next gen nerds. What happens when big nerds raise little nerds? 2 back to back. You could have had that in the same kind of space. We've got Michael P in 6 DE at 10 p.m. Twisted Metal advanced screening. Yeah, we talked about that yesterday because that was that information was announced. But yeah, we'll get to that. Distillery are coming to Comic Con. See, we've got Stephanie Phillips, Tula Lote, and Joe Henderson deconstructing the art of summoning new universes from their imaginations. I would have thought there would have been more. I thought there would have been Jock on there. I thought there'd been the new titles as well. There were, there's a couple of titles. Indeed, Distillery has built a lot of its roster around British creators. Speaks volumes that Tula Lote is one of the few that's actually made it across the pond, especially a couple of those that like Lee Luffridge. And there's just people that are deciding to skip this year. Andrew Dixon, 6 BCF doesn't seem to be listed. Yes, you've noticed that as well. I mean, there is 6 BCF is open. You've got Cartoon Voices in there at 1 o'clock till 2:30. So no, I will go to 6 BCF once we've got down a little bit further down the listing. And yeah, we've kind of taken a bit of time up. So let's move as quick as we can. Spotlight on Nick Dragotta. He's going to be doing his spotlight panel between 2 and 3 in 7AB, one of the traditional comics rooms. So that's going to be a big enough room for him. Okay. Poster session? Anyone? No? Okay. Celebrating Dungeons & Dragons 2025 with experts in 24 ABC. I think it's more the players taking part. Dungeon Masters and storytellers talking about D&D. If anything, that could be more entertaining and interesting than the Zygax panel. Women on the Dark Side. Whether it's comic books, novels, film, or art, these women are creating content that connects with a deeper, darker side of all of us. So Madeline Holly Rosing, Deborah Daughtry, doing Kolchak, great book. Megan Hagsell and Susan Lee, founder of Women on the Dark Side, Embrace the Chaos, moderated by Barbara Dillon, editor-in-chief of Fanbase Press. Could be an interesting panel, that. If anything, once again, the Fanbase guys, they know what they're doing and they know how to get a good crew together. Marvel in 6A. Comics to screen. Okay, this gets my attention. Marvel Masters collide in an unprecedented meeting of page and screen with CB Cebulski and head of visual development for Marvel, Ryan Mendering. Others explore Marvel's first family's journey from the comics page to the big screen, just as Fantastic Four First Steps lands in theaters. Fans who stick around to the end will receive an exclusive giveaway comic book. 6A, big room. It's going to be something I think you may still have to queue up for, though, because a lot of people will be in the room to find out about what Ryan Mendering has done for Fantastic Four in preparation of that film's release. Between 3 and 4, that is in 6A, Marvel Comics to screen. That is something that I could possibly go in for. Yeah, go on then. Frank Miller is going to be talking to Mark Evanier. Oh, God almighty, you won't shut up. One of the most important creators of the last half century, returning to San Diego for a career-spanning conversation. Mark has a really delightful habit of doing long-winded questions, and Frank Miller has no patience for that whatsoever, as I have discovered firsthand. I did a long-winded 90-second question at him, and he just went, yeah, repeat it. It's a story I know that, yeah. I don't know. Frank Miller, though, I mean, the band's still a legend. So, you know, Andrew Dixon is reminding us, yes, Fantastic Four will be out by then. Absolutely. But I do know that there's screenings taking place that weekend. So when you say it's going to be out by then, it's only by a couple of days. Trans-masculine representation in entertainment. Okay, good to have some representation. Discussing the unique struggles trans-masculine artists face in entertainment and the importance of trans-masculine representation in the arts. Important panel, worth going to check out if you want to see what the politics is being represented at Comic Con. 26AB, trans-masculine representation in entertainment between 3:30 and 4:30. Trans right exist. So there you go. That's for me. Oh, good Lord. In Omni, an important conversation shuttled over the road to Omni Grand Ballroom. Top creators from numerous disciplines, including voiceover, graphic design, visual art, writing, and more, discuss how AI is impacting creators worldwide. Experts from the National Association of Voice Actors discuss technological advances in art and how creators protect themselves or can protect themselves from AI misuse. Why is that in Omni? That should be a lot closer and should be a bigger panel. And I think in the next few years, it will be. So there we go. That's for me. Anything else that anyone spotted? Who is the best superpower? Stephanie Phillips is on that panel. It's going to be worth. Really? 4:15. 40th anniversary in 6DE with Hirokatsu Hikara, who's a production coordinator from 85 to 90, telling the story behind the establishment of Studio Ghibli while showing original pieces of original and behind-the-scenes art. That's going to be big. In 6DE, that could have done with being in a bigger room as well. 40th anniversary of Studio Ghibli. Yes, Dan, I'm aware. I'm going to share it in a second. We'll get into it. Project Hail Mary Audible Book Club with Andy Ware, Ray Porter, and Aditya Sood, which means he's going to be coming from Hall H straight across the road to room 6A, and doing that. Interesting. Okay, someone mentioned Dune. I've seen nothing for Dune, which is very, very strange. Bit of crowdfunding for indie cartoonists, making comics the good trouble way. NSNBC Jason Johnson discussion with team members behind Good Trouble Comics. Never heard of them. I would have to do some research, and it's in room 11, which isn't the biggest room in the world. First, listen, a publisher's got to start somewhere, and Good Trouble Comics, if that's where they're getting a room to tell their story, get it done. Small Voices, Big Stories, talking about how comics can reveal Taiwan's complex past and everyday life. Okay. Really? Interesting. Room 25 ABC. If I was passing it, I'd poke my head around the door on that one. I think that could be rather cool. Trina Robinson's story and legacy. Trina Robbins, of course, legend when it comes to comics. The late Trina Robbins has been celebrated here by Lee Mars, Michael Dooley, who is a special guest this year, Sydney Helfer, Peter Maresca, Bruce Simon, and Shannon K. Daugherty discussing the late feminist comics icon Trina Robbins' historian work. That's a big panel, I think, especially for legacy comics creators. It is between 5 and 6 in room 4. Is it me, or have the previous 2 days been a lot stronger? I mean, there's some great stuff in here, but a lot stronger could do with that. Danbury has spotted one at 5 o'clock. Let's go into this. Dread the Hall, fictional comic convention horror stories. Oh, nicely spotted there, sir. Well done, considering that you've got some great names. Everyone has experienced the joy and anguish of trying to get into their favorite pack panel, and now there's a new comic celebrating those highs and lows in heightened, horrific fashion. Dread the Hall H. Co-writers Chris Ryle and Jordan Hart, which means it's going to be great. Cover artist Maria Rolfe, artist Keithan Jones, which means it's going to look fantastic as well. Long-time convention staples Tim Seeley and others share spirited convention stories, both real and fictional, in celebration of both comic convention in general and their new horror anthology in specific. Best of all, every guest in attendance will get a free one-of-a-kind Dread the Hall H lanyard. That's between 5 and 6 in 23 ABC. Big room. Big room. Dan Bray saying, Jim Lee and friends, we talked about that yesterday because it mentioned it because at the end of the day, it doesn't actually list who's going to be on stage. It's very much like a focus panel that he used to do in the how-to room, but obviously a little bit bigger, considering you've got that taking place in 6 BCF between 5:15 and 6:15. But he's got a lot of friends, so I can imagine there's going to be a fair few rocking up. I can imagine Jock showing up for that kind of panel. I keep saying Jock's going to show up for everything, so who knows? Okay, if you want to find Matt anywhere, you're going to find him in this room because he's going to be celebrating Spider-Man the Animated Series 30th anniversary with voice actors Christopher Daniel Barnes, Saratoga Valentine, Patrick Lebertier, Craig Berger, Rodney Salisbury, Gary Imhoff, and Jennifer Hale, going to be moderated by John Semper, celebrating 30 years of the iconic Spider-Man the Animated Series. 30 years, good Lord. Between 5:30 and 6:30, that is going to be taking place in 5AB. Okay, let's have a look what else. Franzetta panel with Emil Farris and Jimmy Palmiotti and Eric Powell and Sarah Rosetta, and moderated by our good friend Rob Salkowitz. So that's going to be just a well put together and well researched and very interesting panel, talking about one of the legendary illustrators, Fangs, Fur and Frank Frazetta's influence on modern horror, taking place between 6 and 7 with special guest Emil Farris. That's going to be in room 9. A big enough room, but is it going to be big enough? That's going to be interesting. Comic book lettering, Richard Starkings and Zen. That would be interesting for me, but that's just because I think comic lettering is underserved. Richard Starkings and Zen taking that big look. X-Men fandom panel in 60E. It is the fans diving in on that one. Dear me, Peter David celebrated his life and work in Grand 10 and 11. Interesting that that's over at the Marquee, but you do have the likes of Paul Levitz, Mark Vanier, and Maggie Thompson taking their time to talk about Peter David. Obviously, a titan in the world of comics, celebrated for years to come with the likes of Paul Levitz, George Takei, Mark Vanier, Chris Ryle, and J.K. Woodward, and moderated by Maggie Thompson. Okay, the only reason why I can imagine that is in there in Grand 10 and 11 is because you're going to need the amount of people to celebrate the work of Peter David. Okay, I can understand that. Okay, you've got the Toxic Avenger panel in room 25 ABC with Ahoy Comics, Cyanide and Happiness, interesting, in 60E with Adam Nasrallah, Connor Murphy, Mike Solidaco, and Chris Wilson, creating and talking about how Cyanide and comics come together in 60E, and that is going to be at between 8 and 9. Ridiculous Cage, Bad Medicine in Nick Cage films. The physicians of Hi Everybody, the Bad Medicine podcast, are here to discuss the unbearable weight of medical mix-ups, focusing on the injuries and maladies seen in Nicolas Cage film, from The Rock to Ghost Rider to Renfield. Interesting. Andrew Dickinson, is George Takei a guest on the Star Trek panel in H? Unlikely, unless he's got himself a special guest section in one of the shows, in Stranger Worlds, perhaps. The reason why is because George Takei at the moment is very much about his own story, his own graphic novels, the own tales to tell, and he kind of leaves Star Trek to do what it needs to do. So there we go. And we got down to it eventually, as pointed out by Michael P. Peacock's Twisted Metal at 10 o'clock with that advanced screening of season 2, or at least the first two episodes of season 2, including the we got no cast for that. It really will be a case of just rocking up and seeing that. Andrew Dixon's asking if George Takei may be appearing in Academy. It's possible. It is a flashback. It is a birth. It's like an Enterprise era show, isn't it? I believe so. And then it's Welcome to Derry in 6 BCF with Andy Machete and Barbara Machete talking about the new series. Now, this is kind of sneaked under the radar. 9:15 to 9:45. You're only getting first look footage at the premiere episode, so you're not going to be seeing a full episode of it, Welcome to Derry. But that's something I would have expected to see in perhaps Indigo or Ballroom 20. But there we go. Yeah, and it is in 6 BCF. So to tell you what, let's click on this and let's see what comes up, because it was pointed out by Andrew that it is kind of being a little bit unrepresented in the listings. But there we go. That's what's happening in 6 BCF. The Wonderfully World World of Gumball, which is going to kick things off at 10 o'clock. I'll say at 10:30. That's a show that is coming to Hulu and HBO Max. Okay, not a great deal I know about that. Into Quick Draw, into Cartoon Voices. So Marco Vanier liking the sound of his own voice. Get Wrecked with Straw Hat Goofy Live. It's going to be from 2:45 with Juju Green. Don't know much about that particular podcast, so it's a special episode. Hopefully there's going to be fans for that. 25th anniversary of X-Men with Tom DeSanto, celebrating the movie that started it all. So the original film, of course, with Hugh Jackman and Halle Berry. You won't be seeing any of the cast, and it's unlikely you'll see the filmmaker because, well, he'll be lynched. Jim Lee and Friends at Tapawingo is going to be, John Hader. And a hell of a, good God. Let me just scroll through this, please. Tapawingo returns in the spiritual successor to Napoleon Dynamite. Tapawingo, Nate and Will are two cool dudes killing the time between the rec center and the Elks Lodge, where they take in a few honest hours of bingo. When they're not hanging loose, they're training for one day. This is kind of out of the woodwork. Okay, let's skip through creatives. Let's go to Sarah Coogan, John Hader, Jay Pichado, Kim Atula, Amanda Bears, John Ratzenberger, George Pazaz, Paul Pazaz, Sawyer Williams, Chad Dukes, Ariel Flores, Reggie Woods, Mike Beaver, Luke Barnett, Gina Gershon, and Billy Zane. Where has this come from? It's such a whiplash from the likes of Jim Lee and Friends and X-Men and all of that. In fact, Jim Lee in there that's the outlier. But where's that come from? That's a dark horse and a half. That could get a fair old collection of people in a room to see that. If anything, Napoleon Dynamite still has a big fan base. So, yeah. I'm glad I pointed that out. Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, Andrew Dixon's saying it's a weird choice. Yeah, but that's 6 BCF. That is a room of absolute whiplash from television to Quick Draw and Cartoon Voices, which is a totally different vibe all on its own with the way that Mark Evanier runs his panels. Straw Hat Goofy Live, a celebration of X-Men, Jim Lee and Friends. Why does this feel like a room where they just kind of went, we'll put some post-it notes and we'll work it out later. There's very little in the way of programming logic there, but it does mean that perhaps you might get a lot of turnover. I mean, the Jim Lee and Friends, I don't think is going to stick around for the likes of Tapawingo. But likewise, anyone who's gone for it, Welcome to Derry, they're going to have to sit through Jim Lee and Friends and Tapawingo to get there. What a strange room. What a strange room. So there we go. That has been your programming for Saturday. What do we think, everybody? And Andrew Dixon, a lot of retention. And I'd say that across the board, to be honest. A lot of the rooms kind of have very focused fandoms and people of interest, and then a lot of rotation, especially Hall H. Hall H is it's that back end is very, very weird indeed, unless they get somebody that is going to absolutely rock people's world. Andrew Dickinson feels very Friday-ish. Feels very Thursday-ish to me, to be honest. If it wasn't for the Star Trek panel in Hall H, I'd even say that was more like a Thursday lineup. Interesting. A way of getting people out and enjoying the rest of the convention, perhaps. Getting in and enjoying other bits and pieces around the convention. Who knows? But that's an interesting Saturday. I just want to go back one more time to Hall H on Saturday, because that just seems like a strange lineup. I mean, yeah, I would love to be in the room for the likes of Cody versus Acme. Yes, I'd love to be in the room for Project Hail Mary. Yeah, I'm interested in Star Trek, but it's not Deep Space Nine, so I'm not that interested. Peacemaker, again, that's a Marmite thing. You either love it or you hate it. It's that one. That's going to be a key. Entertainment Weekly's Bold School between 4:45 and 5:30. It's 45 minutes, and it better have someone really exciting in there to get your attention. James Gunn sticking around, maybe. James Gunn and George Lucas. Wow. Okay, I'm definitely dreaming there. Pointed out by Dan. So let's talk about it. Netflix, The Cuphead Show, Inkwell Isle Revisited. That's going to be on Saturday in 24 ABC. Moderated by our good friend TJ Shelvin. Taking a lively look at the hits of the hit animated series on Netflix, featuring True Valentino, Frank Todaro, Johanna, Dave Watson, and Cosmo Sogan, with the Deaky Deek, his head writer, and Ego Plum composer, talking about the Cuphead Show. So thank you very much indeed for sharing that. There you go, if that's something that catches your attention. Chuck Cook, sideways way of dealing with complaints about not clearing the rooms between panels. Yeah, one way of doing it, I suppose. Do we know if they did a bold school last year? Entertainment Weekly have always done focus, so Brave New Warriors kind of panels, and Women That Rock. I mean, it's a shame that we're not seeing another Women Who Rock panel somewhere, but we're kind of getting that in Indigo on Friday with their presentation on that one. That's interesting. Okay, so we will we'll come back to that. But that has been our programming. Again, let me know what you think. Is that was that what we were expecting? Because it wasn't what I was expecting, especially from 4:45 onwards. Again, that Entertainment Weekly panel had better have something very, very exciting. Okay, we do have a panel, which there's two panels which I want to showcase, actually. And yes, they're two big panels that I really should have showcased more, because we've got these, which is Hispanic creators. Let's put that on screen. Hispanic creators and artists discuss the comic book industry, past, present, and future. This is taking place in room 9. We've kind of talked about this before, because we had Jorge Gutierrez on the show talking about this particular panel. But the reason why we're kind of showcasing it is because this has been a panel that has been put together by our good friend Dan Berry. So If you don't go and see this panel, Dan is going to hunt you down and remind you that he lives in San Diego 24 hours because that's what he enjoys doing. Hispanic creators and artists discuss the comic book industry, past, present, future, between 4 and 5 with Alex Sinclair, Mark London, Tone Rodriguez, Michael Calero, Jorge Gutierrez, and others, with moderated by Adrian Ray, discussing their careers and the comic book industry from a Hispanic perspective. Do go and check the episode that I did with, it was with Tone, wasn't it? With Tone Rodriguez came on and talked about the panel and talked about the importance of the Hispanic creators. He talked about how there's a real sense within Hispanic creators that they don't just want to be seen as the brown guy in the room, the Hispanic creator making his Hispanic book. They just want to be seen as strong storytellers that can be relied on and depended on to give really strong stories. Yeah, it's a great and an important panel, and I really hope that a lot of people see it. Apparently, it is going to get recorded, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that one. I really wish that more panels were recorded generally, actually. But in room 9, that is between 4 and 5 Hispanic creators and artists discuss the comic book industry, past, present, and future. Andrew Dickinson is reminding us that Bold School was the Women Who Rock panel, and it was Kate Muldrew, Cheryl Lee Ralph, and Alex Bornstein. So it is the Women Who Rock panel. That's the thing. I think if it was a Women Who Rock panel, they would make it a Women Who Rock panel. This is Bold School, which is a little bit more of a overarching idea. So we don't really know. I'd be a bit reticent on that one. Yeah, who knows? Right, there is another panel I want to talk about as well, which we did kind of showcase a little bit yesterday, but I want to do a little bit more on it on this particular episode, which is a panel being hosted and put together by our good friend Michael P, which is going to be taking place on the 25th. This is on the Friday. Bridging the Expanse. There are no small roles. Dr. Scott Jordan, Chris Keller, Dr. Robert Hurt, and Scott Hudson talking about, and also Chris Blackwood, sorry, talking about those characters which sometimes get pushed a little bit further down the cast list, as it were. Those characters in pop culture and in The Expanse, which just demonstrate that, yes, you may have the big headlining person, the Cassian Andor, as it were, of the of pop culture, and indeed of rebellion and of making your mark on history. But there are no small roles. Everybody has their place. Everyone has their story to tell and their brick against the brick in the wall against the onslaught that's coming down from whatever aspect, when it comes to capitalism, politics, just the bearing down from those that wish to do us harm. Everyone has their place in fighting back, bridging the expanse. So using the expanse as the background to the conversation, Michael P is going to steer this together, and I guarantee it for an hour from 8 p.m. till 9 p.m. it's going to blink. That is going to be a panel which there's going to be so many ideas firing forward, and I'm certain it's just going to be a hell of a thing to go and check out. 28 DE, so not a small room, well worth checking out. That's at 8 p.m. That's going to be on the Friday, I believe, because we talked about it yesterday. Bridging the Expanse, no small roles. Go and check it out, because that, I think, is going to be a fascinating panel. Excellent stuff. And Michael P is letting us know might be prizes. So for the first 40 people who come through the door, Michael is buying you full Expanse box sets. So go and check that out, because everyone needs to see the Expanse, and Michael P is going to make sure that you can enjoy that, because Yeah. I'm kidding. I'm a kidder. But yeah, he says there's prizes. So all the best to anyone who goes and checks that out. Going to be worth exploring that panel. So there you go. Right. Michael P. No, I am not. You, all right. I may have overstepped my bounds there a little. I do apologize. Okay. So there you go. That's your Saturday programming. It was going to be an interesting idea. I mean, I'm really curious to see what the likes of the unofficial blog say about it. I'm really curious to see what it's saying online, because all of a sudden, Sunday looks like the big day, the one that everyone's going to be queuing up for. I mean, admittedly, again, have to remind you, it's not going to be a Star Wars panel. And it's not just going to be about George Lucas. It's going to be about his museum. He wants to pimp that thing to you. But it's George Lucas for the first time at San Diego Comic-Con. Damn right, people are going to want to be in that room. That is going to be interesting, that people are going to be camping out for Sunday and maybe not Saturday. Wow. Wow. Dan Berry, no one wants DVDs. I want DVDs. You can, Chuck Cook's there. Say, I still buy physical media. If you don't want your DVDs, send them to me, because frankly, streaming is going to go the way that cable services are. People are fighting, and you don't own a damn thing. DVDs and Blu-rays are the vinyl of the future. So there we go. I go for, they go, I still buy physical media. Under English, I still go for physical. Listen, if I don't I've got some vinyl. I've got my old vinyl from when I DJ'd, and I've got some new stuff. But if I won the lottery, there would be a bloody nice hi-fi, a really good Technics 1210, and HMV would get absolutely battered. I would be walking out with about 3/4 of their stock. So yeah, Michael P, absolutely need to have physical media. Listen, if you are a kiddywink and you're watching this now and you're saying, well, I've got Netflix, I've got Amazon, I've got whatever, you don't own a damn thing. And you also don't get bonus features. I'm sorry, but bonus features were the thing I actually bought my DVDs for. So, you know, right. That was my rant. Andrew English, I lost internet for a week. Thank you, physical. Yeah, damn right. Where is it? Where's my hard drive? My films hard drive. I've got all my DVDs backed up onto there, but I've got my discs. So there we go. 2 tables and a microphone. Where it's at, baby. Where it's at. Okay. Anything else I wanted to cover really, really quickly before we do wrap up? Yeah. I wanted to talk about just before, basically, in Artist Alley. Oh, let me just get rid of that. Artist Alley. There is a block of artists that are represented by a company which we have discussed on this show before, which is Comic Sketch Art. Now, admittedly, oh, hello. Okay, let me know. Andrew Dickinson, see you all tomorrow. I get it. We're kind of done, but yes, we will do the Saturday programming tomorrow. Comic Sketch Art are going to be having a number of artists, and you've got exclusive people that are being represented. Ryan Otley, Mark Brooks, Frank Cho, Godtail. They have got the likes of Tom King, Jock. They represent a lot. They've got some great exclusives that are going to be on the actual booth, including these connecting covers for Jock, which, not going to lie, wouldn't mind grabbing all of those. That'd be rather cool. Rose Beige is going to be represented. with this Marvel swimsuit special, rather pleasant. Also this Ignite variant as well, and a couple of Clayman panels for Superman Ultimate and Superman Unlimited, and Conan the Barbarian from Enid Ballum, Mark Brooks and Rose Besh as well, doing their take on G.I. Joe. The issue I have with comic sketch art is purely the whole idea of fans struggling to kind of get their time and indeed any books that they may want to get signed by comic artists and writers as well, because they take their cut. They are fantastic for creators, which means sort of maybe the first book costs you £10 and then every other book after that is £5 or dollars. But that's a lot of money for fans to get books and stuff signed. The creators are well looked after because they are financially recompensed, and I guarantee comic sketch art make their cut as well. I would love to have comic sketch art come on the show because I'd like to talk about where we have to find a little bit of a balance between fans meeting the talent and getting their books signed and really kind of having that opportunity to interact with their fans, and then what makes a real monetary impact on the exhibition floor. Because you see that comic sketch art logo, you know that even stepping into rarefied air around that booth is going to cost you money. It is the commercial end and quarter of the San Diego Convention Artist Alley floor. But then you've got artists that are in the Artist Alley that will just sign books because it's great to have fans come up and say hello. So where's that balance? Because right now it is a real sense of one end of the spectrum to the other with comic sketch art. Something to discuss. And I think we'll do that at some point leading up to either Comic-Con or shortly after. But I think comic sketch art is a topic of conversation that I would like to get into. Okay, that's me. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. And that's Saturday. What's your thoughts? Are you watching this after the fact? Jump in on the socials, on the comments down below. Let us know what your thoughts on the programming of San Diego Comic-Con 2025 is. Of course, jump on my socials, Englishman SDCC on Blue Sky and on Threads. Let me know what your thoughts are. Is there any panels that you would be actively avoiding? Is there any rooms that you feel just haven't got the juice this year? They're interesting panels. They're not firecracker panels like you would get with previous years. But is that a bad thing? Taking the heat off the boil, because quite frankly, for the last 4 or 5 years, for the last 10 years of Comic-Con, the heat's been all the way up and everything started boiling over. Is this a way of just turning the heat down and giving the rest of the con more focus? Thoughts? Jump in on the comments, jump in on the socials, Englishman SDCC, and of course, we'll be back tomorrow to see if Sunday is cemented as the big day of San Diego Comic-Con 2025. Wow. From me to you, thank you very much indeed for watching. We're back tomorrow with Sunday's programming. 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. GMT. From me to you. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.